Rachel avoided mirrors. It wasn't out of vanity, but because John's voice always reached her first, echoing in her mind before she could even see her own reflection. He would stand in the kitchen doorway, his eyes cold, pointing at her plate with a look of pure disgust. "Look at you," he would sneer, tossing his napkin onto the table like it was trash. "Who would respect a woman like this? You are lucky I even married you." These words were his daily weapon, sharp and relentless. At breakfast or at family gatherings, he threw insults like stones, watching them hit their mark. Slowly, Rachel stopped laughing. She began to eat in silence, her shoulders hunched, trying to make herself smaller and smaller until she felt invisible. She had once dreamed of being a chef, a creator of flavors and joy. But when she first mentioned it, John's laughter was like ice water. "No one wants food from you," he mocked. "Control yourself before you try to feed others." With a heavy heart, she buried her turmeric-stained recipe notebook in the back of a dark drawer. Years passed in a long, suffocating silence. She existed in the shadows of her own home, her passion locked away while his mockery became the soundtrack of her life. She was a ghost in her own kitchen, a woman whose dreams had been traded for the safety of silence and the hope of avoiding his next cruel remark. One rainy night, the breaking point finally arrived. After John mocked her weight in front of his friends, their laughter ringing through the house, Rachel locked herself in the bathroom. She stared at her trembling hands in the harsh light and realized with a jolt of terror that she was disappearing. Not her body, but her soul. The next morning, the silence felt different. It wasn't the silence of defeat, but of a brewing storm. She reached into the back of that dusty drawer and pulled out the old notebook. Her hands shook as she opened the pages, the scent of dried spices rising up to meet her like an old friend welcoming her home. She started small, preparing lunch boxes for local office workers, each meal a quiet act of rebellion. Then came the dessert boxes, filled with the sweets she was once told she didn't deserve. Eventually, she set up a camera. She filmed herself cooking, her face glowing with a passion she had suppressed for a decade. She never apologized for her size or her appetite. To her surprise, the internet noticed. They didn't see a woman to mock. They saw a master of her craft. Within 2 years, her small kitchen had grown into a thriving catering business. Her videos reached millions, and letters poured in from women across the globe. They told her she had given them their confidence back. Rachel remained exactly as she was: successful, powerful, and unashamed of the space she occupied in the world. John watched from the sidelines, confused and bitter as the world he controlled crumbled. One evening, he stood in her new office, surrounded by her awards and the hum of her success. "How did you do all this?" he asked, his voice tight and small. Rachel didn't even look up from her ledger. She simply closed the book, stood tall, and faced him with steady eyes. "For years, you made me believe my body was my weakness," she said. "But it was never my body, John. It was your small mind." He had no answer. As he walked out into the night, Rachel looked at the sign hanging in her restaurant. "Success is not measured by the size of your body, but by the size of your courage." She walked through her dining room, free at last.